What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Finally got some time to record some of these videos. Today I just want to talk a little bit about something that happened to me recently and how an abundance mindset can outweigh a scarcity mindset. And let's get into it. Boom, boom. Alrighty, guys, what's going on? Once again, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott King. I run a coaching business, www.coachscottking.com, and a DJ business over here in Orlando, Florida. I've had a lot of success. If you want to check out how that's going, go to www.djsorlando.com. So basically on the YouTube channel, I like talking about different things that have happened. And today I want to talk a little bit about a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. Now, in order to understand this a little bit better, let's talk about a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset would be like, oh, don't be afraid to lose this, or you're going to lose that, or you better act this way in order to keep what you got going on. And, you know, I lived like that for such a long time. And I didn't realize that what I was getting into would turn into that. And I wasn't, mentally sound at the time when it was happening. And I didn't realize there was another way. So I ended up taking all these different classes and learning NLP, hypnosis, and marketing. And I didn't understand that wasn't a way that would work for me. So somebody who's really good, in my case, a narcissist would use scarcity mindset to, oh, you better do this or you're not going to be able to get this. And we want to make sure we hold on to that, because if you don't hold on to that, then you're going to lose this. And oh my God, what's going to happen? And then you end up like not feeling comfortable because you're so worried about what somebody else may think of you. And at the same time, when you have confidence and you just do the best that you can, realize that losses happen. It's just part of business. And if you're focused on your gains, then you'll be able to have more time for the gains versus what you lost. So I may have some clients that didn't return back this year for whatever reason, and I don't even know. I haven't even paid attention to it. I do get many calls of people that I've had last year. I'm like, oh, great, we'll put you down on the books. So basically, if you're just walking through life and you have a scarcity mindset, it could get so bad that you're losing weight and your hair's falling out and you got all this stress, and you got to ask yourself if that's the way you want to live life. And I do realize when I switched from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, it was a lot of work. It's kind of like when you have a pool and it's got chlorine in it, right? And you want to switch to a saltwater pool. Well, it's going to cost you $4,000 or $5,000 in order to switch your pool from one type of way to another type of way. And the other type of way would be much better because it's easier to maintain and that kind of thing. Once you have it done, it's, salt is probably better on the skin than having chemicals, right? And so the switch could take a lot of time, money, and energy, yet you'll be running more efficiently once you have that set in. So an abundance mindset, right? You would think about all the different gains that you have, or if you got to plant seeds everywhere, right? You don't know which one's going to flourish, so you're planting seeds everywhere. So if you get a phone call, hey, look, we got a gig, you go over there, maybe something else that you did and you forgot about months ago, you sent out an email, and then now finally that person's looking to book your service or whatever, and then you go handle that and then all of a sudden you get all this work and you don't know what to do with it. And it's very important, at least in my case, that I have my entire team on that same wavelength. So we've experienced the narcissist scarcity mindset for so long, I didn't even realize the difference. And then as all these different learnings came in, I would teach my team and be like, well, these things may happen. And, something like, oh, if you don't take this gig for less, then you'll never have it again. And somebody with an abundance mindset would be like, well, okay, well, if you want to, try and, haggle me down, then that's not going to work out, right? So I'd rather go take my time and find somebody who does appreciate my service and somebody who is willing to spend a little bit more, and understands, there's inflation. Well, we had this one client that was like, oh yeah, you did so good last year. We want you to do it again, but we have $100 less than what you did last year. So think about that for a second. If you're running a business and somebody wants to pay you less for your service, telling you that you did a good job, that doesn't match very well. So it's up to you if you want to take the gig or not. And at the same time, just realize if you give in a little, it's going to keep going, right? So that's what happened to me when I was working for a talent agent. They'd start with something really small. Oh, if you do this, and then, all bait and switches would happen too. It'd be like, oh, can you take this gig? It's $500. And then you take the gig, and then they're like, oh, but you got to come over to my house, and you got to do this, and then you got to bring it back when you're done. And it's like, what? What did I agree to? And then, they try that once, and then if you do it, then they'll keep doing it. And it gets worse and worse and worse and worse as you go down the line. And you're like, where did all this come from? So when I was learning, abundance mindset, it was like, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, that means I got to spend some money to get leads to come in, right? So you're somebody with a scarcity mindset be like, oh man, I don't know if I want to spend that money to get these leads to come in, because I don't know if I'll be able to close them. And we could use scarcity mindset here, right? So if you're spending money to get leads and you don't have a system to turn it into money, then that's like burning money, right? So you'd want to learn how to do a system so that you could capitalize on it and what works out best for you. Because if you're just one man operation, you only have so much time. Like, you have time for money, right? So how much do you want to spend for your time, and is it worth your while? So if you take something at a lower rate, right, and then somebody else comes along and they have your actual rate, then you'd be, scarcity mindset, you'd be losing out on that. But if you already agreed to that price and that was worth your time, then you wouldn't worry about something else that came along. So if you had your rate at a certain rate, and you've been in the business long enough, and December is going to be pretty busy, so you would have your rate set at a good price, and then if something else came along, you'd want to turn into a multi-op if all that stuff started happening more frequently. And then you'd want your team to be on an abundance mindset too, because you have somebody on a scarcity mindset. It was like this book I was just reading, he was talking about one of the philosophers that the mob bosses use is that they use scarcity or fear when they have somebody in charge. So the next person, in order to get the entire team, right, you just have to be more feared than their boss. And that's a way I lived in a sense for like a long time. And then I was like, oh, let's do the abundance mindset. And so I learned out how to grow my business, and then it just keeps coming. And again, you want to make sure that your team understands that too, and that comes with using the right language patterns so that for growth, because I want my team to have a win situation as well. And yet if they're on that scarcity mindset, then it would be best if I could walk them down the dark path to the abundance mindset and say, hey, look, it's better on the other side. So I had something happen to me recently where there's a venue, and that venue sends me out work, and then I've been taking lower and lower cuts than so I had a certain price, and then I went and met with the guy and said, hey, look, if you're going to send me gigs, I could either, write you a check for a commission, or I could offer your clients at your venue a lower price just for mentioning my name. It would be an easier sale, and that would work out. So I had that agreement. So I'll lower my price just for your clients, and, it's a win-win situation, because this person who owns a venue wants to make sure that their clients are happy with the services that they're getting. And of course, we have great service. And then other things started to happen. Oh, I booked this wedding when I didn't know what I was doing. Can you do it for lower? Oh, I just booked this wedding. I still need a lower price. And there was another time where it's like, oh, this other wedding happened. Can you do it for me for lower? So there was like 3 or 4 times. And it was like, well, I already given you guys a discount. I told some of my other DJs that I didn't want to go to a venue that if it was a low price, because it didn't really work out for me, because again, it's time for money. And then there would be other times where it's like, well, we show up 2 hours before the start of the time, and then the person would be like, well, can you set up the night before? Can you get here an hour earlier? And well, you're already paying a favor rate on top of whatever the discounted rate is. So we're doing the best that we can with what we have. And we don't mind doing all these extra things if you're going to pay for them, right? And somebody who's a narcissist wants to take control of a situation and point the finger, and you're this, and you're this, and you're this, and you're this. And it's really uncalled for, because, again, if you just look at psychology as people are self-centered, is whatever it is about them, right? So they want to get the best deal, and then they keep itching for more. So there was one time where I had 24-hour notice to produce a service, and I may have done it for cheaper in the past, yet I was in another state doing a gig, and I get a text message, and I say, hey, man, I really can't do that service for that price, because, I have to hire somebody, time and energy, come over to the house and get this thing that's really big and move other things around in order to bring it to your venue. So unfortunately, I can't do it for the same price I did last time. Again, you're giving me 24-hour notice, and I just got to make this happen. And on top of that, it was a Nimbus dry ice cloud dance. On top of that, we would have to wake up super early in the morning because finding dry ice is a challenge. It's a hunt. Sometimes you go to a grocery store and they have it, and sometimes you have to go to the next town over in order to get it. So with all that being said, and doing discounted price in the past, I said I couldn't do it this time. And because if you know what I know about a narcissist, if you don't do what they want, you automatically become the enemy. And that was something that put a bad taste in this person's mouth, even though it was all explained. And then later on down the line, because we still have events at this venue, the person, I wasn't out there, right? I still had my team out there doing an amazing job, videos and everything of how great the party was. This venue owner decided he was going to go over to one of my teammates and start talking a bunch of junk about, think of all the gigs you're losing because I'm not getting along with this guy. And again, since me and my teammate have such a close relationship and mutual mindset, he was just listening to the conversation and understanding where the other person was coming from, because the other person was talking sporadic, not making a lot of sense. And, it turned into, wow, you could be making more if you just go to me direct. And, well, this person understands that running a business requires us to make a profit because we can't just run a business for free. And on top of that, the guy was getting paid pretty good. My team gets paid pretty good, and there's not a lot of margin for profit. And at the same time, we are running an office and sending out all the information. The guys just got to show up and execute, right? So they get paid for their time. And it's something we agreed upon. It's not like I said, hey man, can you do this for this and for this amount of money, right? And it's agreed upon. And on top of that, because I have an abundance mindset, this guy has access to all of my numbers, my entire system. Like he could just go in there and be like, oh yeah, Scott charged this, I got paid this guy got paid that. He has access to all of it. And somebody with a scarcity mindset would want to keep that information away from you so that they could have you in the dark. And well, that's not really how I operate. In me personally, I put my numbers online and say, hey, look, if you don't know how to get here, I can show you how to get there. So just understanding the scarcity mindset will work against you, and he explains it in this book as well. So just keep that in mind, and that's pretty much the situation. And I probably talked about it on previous videos, but I don't need to mention names or anything like that. It's just, if you're building a business, you'd want to have abundance mindset and open, clear communication with your team, because that was another thing when I worked for another talent agent. They would say they were only making a certain amount of money on top of what they had paid me, and they would say something like, oh yeah, you'll never find anybody more open than me. Sure. And then when you find out, oh well, narcissists tell so many different lies, right? It's kind of hard to find out where to begin in the spider web. And then if you actually do catch a narcissist in a lie, they'll just say something like, well, that's not what I meant. You misunderstood it. And the loop continues. Again, it's kind of like a hydra where you cut the head off and then more just appear. So understand, especially in the entertainment business, there's a lot of people like that. And on top of that, right, so if somebody operates like that and they're able to get success, right, like they're able to have a big account or they're able to build a venue that costs lots of money, it's kind of hard to change their mindset or get them to think a different way or have win-win situations because they have the success that they have. So you explaining to them what they're doing isn't right, it won't work out, because they'll say something like, well, I've done this and I've done that. What's wrong with you? And you have to decide whether or not you want to play that game, depending on where you're at with your business. Maybe you'll have to just take it for a little while. Just understand that when you start to hold your boundaries, you'll just become the enemy. And it's up to you if you're okay with that. Where me, I've lived that life. It was bad for me mentally. And being able to have a channel like this and talk freely about whatever the hell I want to talk about makes me happy. So guys, if you want to learn how I built my business and different ways to get in and out of sticky situations, make sure to visit the website, ask questions, www.coachscottking.com. You guys have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next one.